This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to the 25th annual Hunger Games.
What year is it? Why are we doing Hunger Games reference? What are we doing?
I thought I was at my side job. My bad. Welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. You have to buy that separately. I'm Victoria, and with me today are Dave.
Hello.
Nathan.
Good evening for us. Good morning or afternoon or commute to those listening.
Janine.
Hello there.
And Sarah.
Hi. The gang's all here.
The
gang's all here.
Yeah, we're all finally here.
It's been a while, gang.
And you all look fantastic, if I do say so myself. And we have lots of theme park news and tea to discuss. But I know Nathan wanted to start off with something a little more serious.
Yeah, I just wanted to start off by paying a little tribute to my friend Josh from Easy WDW. He passed away this last, a little more than a week ago, but news was official about 4 days ago. And yeah, Josh was a really great guy. If you read his stuff on Easy WDW, he was witty and sarcastic and always had some unique perspective on current news. One of the things I loved about him was when I was doing reporting, everyone was rushing to get things out. So you would be sitting with a laptop in the middle of Epcot and desperately trying to do whatever needed to be done. And he was like, I don't know, I'll get it done in 2 weeks. And his 2-week late festival, whatever, was always so far superior. The pictures were better. The analysis had the time to sort of simmer in the crock pot and be good. And he was just a really, really smart guy. I always said that his humor was as dry as the food from the Epcot Italian booth, because he was just, the first time I ever met him, we were reporting, I said this story on Twitter, but we were reporting on the Festival of the Holidays at Epcot. And I was pretty new to the company. This had been my first festival. And I was meeting up with him and one of the people from Blog Mickey, because believe it or not, a lot of websites get together to buy food, because why get one thing and pay to eat a bite when you could just share with a bunch of people and save money and review. So we were going to meet up, and I texted him and I said, I'm with the guy in the Mickey hat. And I was wearing it was the baseball hat version with the Mickey ears. But it sounds pretty stupid to say that when you're entering Epcot. But I hadn't thought that through, and I kind of thought, oh, dang, that was stupid. We finally met, and the first words out of his mouth to me was, I knew it was you because you're wearing the Mickey hat. And it was just like, and it was so dry, I wasn't even sure if it was a joke at first, and that's sort of what I loved about him. So cheers to you, and rest in peace, dear Josh. You were definitely a blessing to the Disney park community, and especially the kind of Diz Twitter community. And we'll miss you.
I'm sure we have condolences to his family as well. So,
But the news continues on, and I guess I'll just roll into the next topic, which is that you know, what we love the most is a good new multi-level Disney Vacation Club wing that is thrusted onto the side of a legendary resort. It's something I remember when the Contemporary one happened, and everyone was so excited about that. And we just love big towers that say nothing. And well, gang, guess what? You're gonna get another, because the Polynesian Resort is going to get a new DVC, I guess wing is the best way to put it. And it's, you know, got this very nice design that certainly isn't the design of the Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge project that got canned. But yeah, we're getting another one of these big ass towers cluttering our beautiful lakeside view. Thoughts?
I
I
feel
say-
like it's.
oh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
We have some thoughts. We all have thoughts. Go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, I was just gonna say it kind of sucks that they got rid of, the dinner show that was there to put up a DVC tower.
That's what's happening. I didn't know that was the trade-off. I'm
Yeah.
even more mad now.
Yeah, I think they're taking down the show building, if I recall
That's
correctly.
terrible.
Oh,
And they fired the people, and that's where it's gonna go. And like Nathan
Oh
said,
my
it's
God.
essentially the Reflections Resort,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to pay homage to the show for some reason.
But it looks like a apartment complex that's in a suburban, like not even suburban, like the area that's like in between the suburb and the city that's sort of not developed.
You mean
until
Celebration?
now.
Oh,
I was literally
Yeah.
thinking the same thing because like it looks like luxury apartments
It
that
looks
you
like
will see
luxury
right next to the
apartments.
freeway. Yeah, like,
Yes,
that's what it
off
looks
the
like.
highway. Yep.
Yeah.
Near the mall. Like
honestly,
yes.
I feel like the best way to describe it is a quote from Bob's Burgers, and it's literally, if it were a spice, it would be flour.
ah.
That's the best
Yeah.
way to explain it.
I mean, I'm in the minority, being from the West Coast, that I have never stayed there. I don't have quite the affinity for the Polynesian, but I remember seeing it the first time when I went to Walt Disney World in the, I don't know, early 80s. It's the first time I saw it, and it was like, oh, now I get it. This is really cool. And I've always wanted to stay in the expensive little ones out on the water, and little bungalows. But it's so clear with this and with the all the hotels they put in recently, possibly with the Destino Tower being the outlier, because I actually really think that one's lovely.
Yeah,
And
it truly is. Yeah.
and the bar upstairs is wonderful, and the waterfront is great, and that's great. That whole resort's awesome. But a lot of the recent ones are just boxes because they make so much money
Mhm.
on the pyramid scheme that is DVC.
Why bother?
Yeah.
Why put
Why-
money into actually theming it?
Yeah, because people are going to go anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the trick of DVC is you have to keep building rooms. And if you don't have that, then the whole pyramid falls down. And so you just got to keep building.
Well, and they build rooms, and they're building resort capacity and not increasing park capacity at all.
Yes.
Which is
And-
interesting.
Well, it's because that's more expensive than building a hotel. I mean, Disney's going to spend an arm and a leg on that expansion, but it's not what they spent on, Guardians.
Yeah.
So, and that's not even new capacity. That's replacing an existing ride. And so we keep having this problem where it's like, oh, the yearly attendance at each of these parks is just going to keep going up without any extra.
Yeah.
What is it, like 8% a year, maybe 4% a year? Which, all right, from a capitalist standpoint, business plan, I get it. You are maximizing your assets as best as possible, but the guest experience is going
How
to be
long until the
awful.
reservations are just consumed by DVC guests and
Yeah.
that's it?
Well, and what's weird too is like, I know DVC people, and over the last 2 years, they've had a struggle of wanting to go. And I was lucky enough to have, I had a friend come to me and go, hey, I can't use my points. Do you want 3 days at Wilderness Lodge? And I was like, yeah, I canceled everything. Whatever was going on, weddings, and whatever, it wouldn't
You have
matter.
good friends. You
Yeah.
have great friends.
Yeah. And it was really kind of them, but they were just like, I'm going to lose the points if I don't use them, but I don't have time. And because we were wearing masks everywhere at the lodge if it wasn't in the room. And it was early days too. So it was a little risky, but I was willing to take that risk for 3 days at Wilderness Lodge. And I think that's you're making a valid point about Guardians, and I'm now remembering how much of a people eater University of Energy was.
Oh, it just gobbled them up.
Yeah,
It
and we are
did.
losing
Multiple
that.
theaters of people, basically.
Yeah,
Best
at a
naps I
time.
ever took. Best 2 naps I ever took on Disney property. I'm not even joking.
It was the nap ride. I said it last week. Every park needs a nap ride.
That's
That
true.
was the nap ride.
now it's American Adventure officially. And I love American Adventure. My thing is still going to be, I guess it's why they keep making DVC is because they have that in place. Because anyone with half a brain now just goes and stays at Universal for half the cost.
Thing I
and
did last month.
yeah, and it's really not that big of a difference, and they're beautiful hotels, and I mean, I don't know if they're, I wouldn't say they're the Polynesian, but
But at
it's
least
better
you
than
get
staying in a
perks
tower.
there instead of like a
You
Disney
get
hotel.
way
Yeah.
better
Yeah,
perks.
there's like
Yeah.
no fast pass anymore. You don't even get Genie Plus with like your stay,
Yeah,
but at Universal you get that. So it's
no
like,
early magic hours,
yeah,
so nothing except a very expensive room at a now. I mean, they're redoing it. They're redoing the Polynesian. The new rooms look great. They're working on the exterior. I'm very happy about all of that, and I should
It
have
did
seen that
need a
as
refresh.
it did, but I should have seen that as a sign because that means this little thing was coming. But yeah,
I wonder. I just thought of this, and this may be why it's pulled back in its theming. The Not that the Polynesian is culturally insensitive, but their awareness of cultural sensitivity went up a lot with Aulani, right? And Aulani is not a tiki resort. They worked Joe and his team worked very hard to make that, respectful to the locals and respectful to the culture and the history and all that. So maybe a small benefit of the doubt I can give him to say, if we lean into Trader Sam in this, it's not right for now. So maybe, I don't know.
As the next, this is a great transition because I think as the next segment will prove, I don't think that was on their minds.
I don't think that was on their mind
Yeah, it
either.
doesn't
I was
really
going to
give a
say, are
fuck.
you saying they're being culturally sensitive? Because there has been turmoil and chaos recently. I guess we're going into the next topic.
Yes, please.
Through the Disney Imagination Campus, Disney works with high school bands, performing arts segments of different high schools across the country to showcase their talents and skills in the park. So usually you'll see that in the form of a band, being basically a precursor to the actual parade, which just recently returned. So it started with an uproar from one of the parents of the Indianettes drill team of
Any red flags yet, listeners?
of the porch
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Port Neches?
Neches Groves school district of Texas. One of the parents were upset because Disney screened them, which they do when they send in their auditions, and stated that the drill team could not wear their Native American headdresses, which is for some reason a part of their costumes. Another red flag. So parents were upset about that. And then a video was leaked of the Indianettes band and drill team performing on March 15th or 16th. And towards the end of the parade route, they did a chant in which the chant includes, and I quote, "Scalp 'em, Indians, scalp 'em."
Yeah.
Not only that, but the routine itself was
Yes, there was a lot of mocking of
mocking. It's really derogatory. It is like leaning forward with your one hand on your head and one hand making tail feathers, and like
it just makes my blood boil. Like, I'm so angry. Like, when I first saw these videos, like, I didn't even know how to feel. Like, I was like, this is in the parks? Like, this is actually a thing that's
and it's not
happening?
even leaked video. It's just video.
Parents
like,
or
it
whatever.
wasn't clandestine. It was fully public, out in the open for all the families around the parade route.
Yeah.
Didn't they also do the same thing like 2 years ago or whatever? Like, it's the same school.
So according to my research, they've done that routine every year since 2004. Every
With
2
their
years since
headdresses.
2000 with the headdresses.
And then
there's
this year,
photos.
an employee was like, "This year we're not doing the headdresses. So you can't you can't do the headdresses."
Technically, we can't even say they didn't do the headdresses. They didn't do them publicly.
They took pictures though.
Yeah.
They took pictures backstage with the
Yeah.
Walt Disney logo in the background with the headdresses, and their
Oh my
headdresses are
God.
bedazzled with the performers' names.
To be clear, if listeners don't understand, there is not a single Indigenous person at this school. Okay. This is not a reservation school.
Not a person
This
of color,
is
period.
Not part of a tribe. This is live, laugh, love as white bread as you can get high school. This is
sounds about white.
Yeah.
Now, the school responded saying, one, they've performed this same routine many times, which is true. So with Disney's statement, it pretty much made them say like, yeah, they lied, because there's video and photo proof that the school has done this routine with the headdresses many times.
Who allowed this? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, who said, yeah, like in this year, after all the shit that we've just had, like who let them even walk out like on stage?
Is there a shortage of drill teams who want to participate? That's what's what's on offer.
Well, like, and that's the thing. They supposedly review the routines. Like, someone saw a video of this and let it go.
That's what Disney said. They said it wasn't on their audition tape or whatever.
But the school is saying it's BS.
Yeah. So Sincerely Ivy, at Sincerely Ivy on Twitter, who's a friend of mine on Twitter, Twitter Disney friend. She wrote this little thread about this. She was very passionate about it, and I think this helps a lot. She says, in high school, I performed in Disneyland. So this would have been Disneyland, not Disney World, but Disneyland for their music days. For our audition, we had a dedicated agent to guide us through the process. Our school sent rehearsal clips, pictures of our uniforms and our performance, full music tracks, and all the works to get approval. Even to just get seen, I remember the school filmed us during a pep rally, football game, orchestra events, and marching band events, just to get noticed, because the competition to be seen in music days was hard to get into. They even rebutted back to remove one of our songs due to a triggering gun sound that the percussion made. So we changed it a week before our festival trip. In rehearsal areas backstage multiple times, we rehearsed in the rehearsals area backstage for them multiple times. They even suggested to remove another certain area in one piece because it sounded triggering for the audience, as we had to change our music prior to getting on stage. Okay, so there is, at least a decade ago, there was, and in California, there was a procedure in place for this kind of stuff. And knowing Disney, these procedures don't usually
change.
Well, but it's clear that they because they make a lot of money on these schools visiting, because the whole family pays for it.
Yeah, because they still have to pay.
They still have to pay. They're just invited. So it's like they erred on the side of profit, obviously, for this one. But it's like, as much, this is not letting Disney off the hook at all. Like, they are accountable for that being there. How is this school still operating? Like
Texas.
Yeah,
because Texas, right?
Because Texas, but apparently there's been many times where citizens have asked for them to change the mascot, including the principal chief of the tribe. But the school's excuse is they got permission from the chief of 1925, and that's why they have not changed. I cannot make it up.
A century ago?
Even copyright doesn't last that long, guys.
Yeah.
No.
They said the chief from 1925 gave the permission.
That's crazy. Like, I don't get it. Like, it just, to me, like, Disney claims like you literally just put the inclusion key in, like literally just put it in the parks for your cast members. And now you're like, you might have, most likely they'll have indigenous cast members there. So to see like a mockery like of your culture and traditions, like, what the hell?
And like you people talking about, oh, it's just too woke, all that bullshit they throw around. Wait a minute. In the 80s, when I was a teenager in the 80s in Boy Scouts, they started stripping things like Order of the Arrow and some of the other programs of their Native American imagery.
Yeah.
This is the 80s. Like, I never dressed in that kind of costume. That was from the 50s. We look back at the 50s and go, oh yeah, wow, that was the 50s. Movie cowboys, they were popular.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah.
But like, you know, for years I've wondered, why is the cigar store Indian still on Main Street?
Yeah.
Why is there still a tribe leader out in the rivers of America? You know, around, and it's like those at least the one in Rivers of America is somewhat respectful because it's not any sort of parody. The cigar store Indian though is like, why is that there, guys? That should have gone a long time ago.
Yeah, there's a whole Seinfeld episode on this. Why is this here?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's so many different routines that they could have done, so many mascots, like so many different things. And it's like to have picked that specific one to do that in a park. And then like, I don't know if you guys saw the videos of them in like football matches where they're doing it even worse.
Much worse. It's
so bad.
Worse.
I get bad actor vibes from them. I wouldn't be surprised if they stripped it from all of their rehearsal stuff or told Disney that they weren't going to do it and then snuck it in at the end.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing from actual students that they did not change the routine at all. So the scalpel was included.
Oh, wow.
I'm hearing from Disney that it was not. So all I know is, do I believe that Disney threw them under the bus with a statement?
This is one of those times where the showdown, but you don't care who gets shot. You know, like both parties
Yeah.
are
They're
so
both wrong.
Yeah.
yeah. I know that the school's social medias all got taken down. Like they took them down.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
Twitter and their Instagram and stuff because I think they weren't expecting what. I don't know how. I don't know how
They're in their little Texas
they
bubble.
really are.
They're
And
in a
also
bubble.
they're going to Florida, which, you know,
Yeah,
there's
we-
that no
They're
no
homies
wokeness
there.
in Florida.
Yeah,
so
we'll talk
you're safe
about
to do that
that.
in Florida.
Well, we
Yeah.
might as well, I guess, segue into that. So, Janine, you want to go ahead and talk about how much more of a shit show Disney has made themselves into?
Yeah.
Hold on. I just want to say how proud I am of this crew for just getting transitions figured out. Like they've just gotten so good at it. There's a happy producer heart here. I'm just feeling so good. All these transitions so smooth, like butter.
Y'all are good improvers. I really props to all of you.
I mean, practice at this point.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, Disney really shot themselves in the foot when they moved everything, or Imagineering and everything, to Florida and put all this stock into Florida, because Florida is, particularly the DeSantis administration, has it out for Disney.
Yeah.
They just recently passed this Stop Woke Act, which is, I'm not a lawyer. I work in the law field. It's blatantly unconstitutional.
Yeah.
It's not going to hold. But what this does is this law prevents Disney and other companies from implementing any sort of diversity training that implies that some people are oppressed due to the color of their skin, or that some people are privileged by the by
Right.
the color of their skin. And I don't know how this can withhold even the slightest court review.
I mean, it won't. It's nothing. It has nothing to do with the courts. This is classic. I mean, this is exactly what Trump did for 4 years, which is do something crazy to rally his base, and then it goes down in flames, and he goes, "Brr, the swamp, quote unquote. Like they stopped me again, but we're gonna right." It's all about base rallying. DeSantis just wants to be president. This is all this is about. He's not been
This is
governor.
performative.
Yeah, he's not been
Yeah.
governor of this state since he started. So he's just waiting for the fat guy at Mar-a-Lago to keel over, and then he's number one boy of the GOP. And he's just trying to make those plays. I don't know why, because it's not. We find all statistics prove that this kind of message does not work nationally, but they keep trying.
It's great
these
for the
weird
primary.
things. Yeah,
And
I
then
mean, it's
here's
just
the
the
deal.
primary. That's the only thing.
Here's the deal. The average voter doesn't pay attention to this shit. All they know is, I like to be socially liberal and fiscally conservative. I think that the Republicans are the economy people, so I'm going to vote for Republicans, and I'm not going to worry too much about this bullshit Stop Woke Act or abortion becoming illegal or any of this other culture war shit, because it really doesn't affect them.
Right.
They just care
Right.
that gas is expensive, and they've
Yeah.
decided that that's the Democrats' fault. So, you know, like for them,
I
it's
thought it was
it's a win.
Biden's fault. Like,
It's everybody's fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to like figure out like the cognitive dissonance, because like critical race theory, like it's not that difficult to understand, and
No.
it's not pointing the finger at anyone necessarily, and it's not trying
No.
to make children feel like they're being blamed for their ancestors. Like that's not what's happening. And
that
it's like,
you're assuming that they're operating in good faith. They're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
100%.
It's also not taught in schools. This is a
No.
university
Yeah.
level thing. It's like it's such a boogeyman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with race. I mean, the GOP posted this picture of KBJ, the new Supreme Court nominee,
Yes.
Mhm.
with her initials crossed out and CRT next to it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
official
Right, and-
GOP. Like, what is CRT about a black Supreme Court nominee? Just the background.
right?
She's black.
Like,
And guess what? They didn't ask Kavanaugh about CRT.
they
Yeah.
surely
You know?
didn't.
They should have asked him about PBR is what they should have asked him about.
It's absolutely it's just reactionary to the realization that society is passing them by. They
Yeah.
can't compete in the actual marketplace of ideas. So it's legislation, and your teacher can't talk about any of this stuff, or pulling books from libraries. Disney can't do any sort of inclusion training, which is
Right.
I mean, was it really doing anything based on what we
was
just
literally
talked about?
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't doing too much to help
Disney,
their cause.
they're performative, inclusionary.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they can't be performative right now. It just these past couple of months for Disney have been rough. They really got to get it together in terms of like dealing with people of color and the LGBT community. It's just a mess.
They're trying to have it both ways.
I don't know who their PR person is right now, but they must be
Can you
struggling.
imagine? Can you imagine being on the PR team right now?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
Lord.
be crying in a corner. Like, it's rough.
Need I remind people, and this is, of course, came out this last 2 weeks as well, is there were people begging Disney to take a stand inside of Disney, inside of the theme park side. And Jeff Morrell, our good friend, Guardians leaker Jeff Morrell, said, "No, we're gonna do things behind the scenes, and that'll be better, and it'll be no one. The only person that's had a worse month than Bob Chapek is Jeff Morrell.
That poor baby.
He's gonna
That
get
poor
fired.
thing.
He's gonna get fired. He's gonna be the sacrificial lamb because
Oh yeah.
like someone's gonna have to go down, and he is not. This is not good." But I think the problem too is when it comes to, well, we'll get to it. We're gonna get to the walkouts in a little bit. We'll talk about it when we get to the walkouts.
Oh yeah.
This is the problem with a news like this, is everything mushes together because it's all connected in some weird way, except for the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So that hotel that just like nobody really goes to. It's like kind of away. It's not really very pretty. The Paradise. It was okay. Like, I feel like everybody just drives by it.
I didn't know it existed, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, and
Exactly.
it wasn't built by Disney either. It was
it
another
wasn't.
hotel they bought.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that hotel is the Paradise Pier Hotel. You probably didn't even know it existed, but it's there. It is right across the street from DCA. And we just got some leaked images, and I think they look good. So they're planning.
I like it. I would take my kid there.
That good was a question mark. Good. It looks like chalk. I don't know.
I think
Chalk
they look
Hospital.
good.
I stayed in the Toy Story hotel in Shanghai,
Mhm.
just for reference, which is a budget one, right? It's Shanghai's version of like Art of Animation or one of those things. And it's fine. The Toy Story brand is now lately is all, let's make big crap so you feel like you're the size of a toy. That's literally the brand. And that's kind of what this is, I guess, but it's hard to pull off on the outside of the building.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because they have Pixar Pier, and that mixes. I guess.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
prior to the episode, Nathan, you were saying it looks like a hospital, and like
It does look like a children's hospital.
Yeah,
It looks like a children's hospital.
It
that
kinda
rendering,
does.
yeah.
Like we have the Children's Hospital of like Orange County, and they have some stuff from Disney also.
Yeah, they
And it
literally
look-
from Disney. Yeah.
Literally from Disney, and it looks just like this. Like it's not. I don't know. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad either.
Well, you know what it reminds me of is the sort of quickly put together gift shop at the end of Toy Story
Yeah.
Mania here at Hollywood Studios.
Yep.
They wanted
That's
to throw
exactly
something
what it looks
together,
like.
and they have like a closet, and they like threw it together. If you look at pictures, I always called it the Children's Hospital because it looks 100. It's just a white room with like toy paraphernalia. Paraphernalia,
think
is
the
that the word
thing-
I want to use for this? I think it works.
I think the make or break for that is going to be the quality of the pool and the play area and back, really, because frankly the Disneyland hotel is a pretty boring set of buildings.
Yeah.
But the redo of the center with the pool and with Trader Sam's and all that stuff, and the two monorail slides and all that's great. But the hotel itself is nothing to write home about. If you want to stay in a really, really nice place, you go to the Grand Californian.
Yeah.
But so it'll be like if it's a pool where like toys are holding up Hot Wheels track, that's the slide
Oh
that
my
gets you into the
gosh.
pool or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
I like
okay.
that it was like bathtub themed, and it's like bath toys.
Right,
I
it
thought
looks
that was really
cute.
clever. That looks cute. My son would flip for that.
It looks sticky. I don't know how to describe it, but to me, I just feel like
You know what?
Well, that's children.
As
I don't
someone
know
that
why.
deals with children, that's
That's
I just
some
feel like
snot
it
in there
could-
too.
Yeah. It's gonna like give it 5 years, it'll look sticky. I don't know. That's just the only way I could describe
It's gonna
it.
give it that quality sticky child.
Yeah.
It'll
A
make it
patina.
authentic.
You know, as I look at them, 75% of it looks like the queue for Toy Story Mania.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I wasn't the only one thinking that because I was thinking it, but I didn't want to say it.
But I think, or like the Scrabble ceiling, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, they have. That's the cue for
Yeah.
Toy Story.
Yeah.
Mania.
I think they're recycling, which I guess is fair because
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with Disney. One minute they're saying that they're trying to cut costs and that they're on the verge of bankruptcy, and then they're like, here's 3 brand new hotels, and like you get one ride because we're feeling
This one needed it though. It really
It did
needed
need
it.
it. It did.
Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
it's literally the most not unforgettable. It is the most forgettable thing. Like
Right.
you just drive past it. Like I don't even know people that stay there, to be honest.
Well, maybe it'll be better than everyone enjoy it for the first 6 months because all the decals are going to start peeling after that.
Yeah.
So,
And it'll be sticky.
yeah.
Give it that quality daycare aesthetic. I'm telling you. But I guess speaking of daycare
Yeah.
aesthetic,
Oh no.
Ooh. Oh,
Hey.
that's a good transition. Thank you for teeing that up.
I'm just gonna just let you take away with
We're
this.
gonna
one.
we're gonna talk about the participation trophy of Walt Disney Parks.
Oh, that's so mean.
so sad.
That's so mean.
Facts are facts, people. It is the 20th anniversary this year of the Walt Disney Studios Paris Park, the second gate that was added to next to Disneyland Paris and opened on March 16th, 2002. So we have just passed its 20th anniversary, and it's still barely a half-day park 20 years later.
Wow.
So I mean, and to be honest, that's the thing, is like it was such a I think we all know there were great concepts for this early on, right? And they did big ideas and made it a lot like Disney MGM and things. And it just kept getting cut and cut and cut to the point where it opened with practically nothing. It had a couple of attractions, and it was such a cash grab for the ticket price rather than adding capacity to Disneyland Paris. And again, this goes back to the analysts going, you have a resort opportunity here. You just need a second park. And that's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And so they built it as a park. But the Imagineers that worked on, I have many friends who worked on it, their hands were just tied. They knew it was kind of a potato when they built it. And it has some interesting stuff in it once you're in it, right? Like I remember loving, because it's the kind of show that Universal does that Disney had never done, loving the Armageddon show. And it was ridiculous, but it's like, oh, that's like Twister or Backdraft or any of the,
Yeah,
it was
totally was.
Disney dipping their toe in something they hadn't done. And I was like, okay, but you walk through the main, I forget what it's called, but like the Main Street area that's inside of a soundstage. Okay, that's a fun idea because it's bad weather there, just like the covered walkways on the outside of Disneyland Paris Main Street. Got it. But like the roofs of those structures, I think they've since been replaced with permanent. But for like 15 years, they were temporary. They made cost cuts by literally using like temporary cloth structures as roofs in these buildings. It was so sad because it was all kind of drab color and they.
I knew movie studios that looked prettier than this. Like
Yeah.
actual movie studio.
Yeah. And when they got Tower of Terror, it was like, okay, finally we have a proper e-ticket, rock and roller coaster there, I guess, notwithstanding. But so 20 years, maybe after 20 years, they'll finally give it some oomph. And, they're putting in Marvel, they're putting in Frozen, they're putting in a couple of big themed areas. Am I the only person that's been?
No, I've been.
Have you been?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I mean, looking back on it now, so I had two perspectives. The perspective when I first went, because I've never gone, thought it was the shit.
Wait, shit or the shit?
The shit.
Okay, the is very important there.
Walt Disney Studios particularly, or Disneyland Paris as a whole?
No, at the time, young me thought Walt Disney Studios was the shit.
Okay.
You had very bad taste.
But
as a
keep
child.
in
Yeah.
mind, now that I'm looking back on it, I realized half the park, and I'm not even joking, a good 75% of the rides and shows when I went were closed. And I was like, man, Crush Coaster is great.
Yeah, and that's like Crush Coaster's fun. It's actually
Yeah.
it made me laugh. I really like it. I can't believe they haven't put that in.
And
other
keep in
parks.
mind, Dave, that's the only thing I said.
there was a show there that I really loved that ran for years called
Cinemagique?
Yeah. Which was really lovely, and it was
Beautiful.
a big love letter to cinema, and it had some really good magic effects and some
Martin
live
Short,
performers.
for those
Martin
who don't
Short
know.
was in it. Yeah, it was that was a
Yes.
great show, and then the animation version, Animagique, which wasn't quite as good, but it was fine. So it was like it was the little park that tried.
Yeah.
Not
There
necessarily
was an attempt.
No, there was an attempt, and it's good to see them getting love like Ratatouille and the new areas coming up. That's where I rode Ratatouille there back in 2017, and it was
I wrote it in 2016.
oh, there you go, and it I came off of that going, all right, now we're getting somewhere, right? Like now
Right.
it's starting to feel like something, but it's that the Disney math equation for how many entertainment units per hour a park needs to have to operate successfully is different than any other theme park company in the world, because it also relates to, well, is there already a park next to it? How many hotels are there?
Yeah.
And there's all these other factors. And so they had really grand plans for it, but just cut the budget so much. They're like, we can open with 1.4 entertainment units per hour for forever, 0.5 entertainment units per hour for
you
everybody in this
imagine?
park, and it'll be fine, right? I hate to make it so clinical, but it's like that's why. It's not because they thought this was going to be any good. It's because the analysts said we're going to be conservative about our spending on this second park and let it grow slowly. And man, 20 years is real slow.
Well, and they had to have been nervous, because it's not like Disneyland Paris worked out so hot when it opened. And so I think there was probably some residual juju there that they just were a little concerned about. And I mean, there's saving a little money, and then there is that.
There's that, right.
Yeah.
It almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point.
Yeah.
When did Disney buy back the majority share of Disney Paris?
That's an excellent question.
I think it was 2017.
Okay, so it was and a lot of it is that like they weren't really the owners in when this was built, and so the owner
June 13th of 2017.
There you go. So
well done.
Very well done. But like it's the inverse problem of the Tokyo parks, in that Tokyo saw the opportunity and knew they were going to make money because of how strongly it opened. Disneyland Paris, who owned the property and was putting up all the money, was like, we're going to be super conservative. We only have to compete with local regional parks here in France and England. So let's compete on a regional level first, quality wise, which is never really been done in any other Disney resort. So there you have it.
But even then, Alton Towers is way better.
Way better.
So
yeah,
I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah. That tram tour there, was it still there when you were there, Victoria? The tram tour, the tram ride?
I was there the last year of the tram tour.
Oh, did it still have Reign of Fire, that Christian Bale dragon movie?
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I thought the tram tour was the shit.
Because Catastrophe Canyon and Reign of Fire, there you have it.
Put together. And I was like, but at the time I was like, I love Hollywood Studios so much. And it takes me back, because now that I'm looking at it and now that you're saying all this, I realize it's like MGM Studios' little brother.
Yeah.
That is trying so hard to compete with MGM Studios, but the parents clearly love MGM Studios.
It's like the little brother putting on dad's shoes and tie and coat, and it's all oversized. Look, I'm being an adult,
No.
It's like, I'm adulting. I got Catastrophe Canyon still. We got the Cruella DeVille car here. I was like, you got the Cruella DeVille car here?
Let's hope that all the work and time they're putting into the new stuff. Ratatouille as a first step is like, okay. Yes. Yeah. So all right.
That restaurant looks amazing.
The restaurant was
it's well themed.
It was delightful.
And I know the ride is polarizing for a lot of people, but it's like it's what that park needed, and it's the right audience for that ride. Which is
and it was less polarizing 10 years ago because it was a first track list. I mean, it was unique still. That thrill's gone, but well, God bless you, you stupid turd park.
Wait, I just want to say that, like, I feel like we should, like, also have episodes where we talk about modern like theme park history, because I feel like a lot of the history that we hear from like Disney is like when it was like opening up and like all the things. Because like I really love hearing like you, Dave, when you talk about like the back end of things and like why certain things didn't happen. Because I'm like, oh my god, like I never really thought about it like that. So I want to like have more like of those discussions with you. So
We need
Yeah.
to utilize Dave's expertise.
yeah.
I mean, and yours. You had the year of the
Absolutely.
acquisition. That was really impressive. Like, don't go to Disney trivia with Victoria unless she's on your team.
Oh,
Right.
I'm going to Disney trivia tomorrow, actually.
Oh my god.
Need I remind everyone, she also thought that this park was the shit. So we're gonna balance
It's
that
a
out a little
50-50
bit.
right now.
I was young. I'm going to be 30 this year. We
right.
learn. But you know who don't learn? The Walt Disney Company.
Look at these transitions. God bless you.
So we're going to be talking about the Walt Disney Company. They just really are not winning this month. They really aren't.
It's embarrassing at this point, to be honest. Like, I don't even know what they're doing.
So there was a walkout, a week of walkouts formed. I'm not sure who exactly formed it. I'm not sure if it was like a cast member or.
But there was a Twitter page. Is it like is it a group?
There's a Twitter. It's a
Yeah.
Twitter. I think it's a group. I'm not sure who runs it, but they
Yeah.
have a Twitter page and a Instagram page, and they formed walkouts. When you go onto the website, you see their petition that you're also welcome to sign, expressing their, I guess, upsetness.
Disappointment?
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. They were upset with Bob Chapek's response to the Walt Disney Company's situation in connection to the Don't Say Gay bill. So with that being said, they decided to make a stand together in various sections of the company, and pretty much was just like, we're gonna walk out. So I know Pixar did it. I know some people at Disneyland did it, and apparently there was an uproar because if you're part of the union, I think it's two different unions depending on which park you're at. If you're part of the union, you're not legally protected if you do a walkout. So almost all the cast members couldn't do it, and they wanted to wear their pride pins in support of the walkouts, and Disneyland said, you ain't doing that. So
you can sell them to people.
But you can
Because they-
sell them to
Also,
people.
Right.
can't you wear them
Well, it's so as a
on the
I
day
guess-
to day?
Well,
No, I guess
I don't know if they changed for 2 years ago when I was there. You could only wear specific pins like that were available. So I think it was the flag pin, the American flag, and then like one with Mickey and the American flag. But it was like very specific pins that you could wear because they quote unquote disrupted show and the costume that you would wear. So like I don't know.
It depends if you're in like a themed costume.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was the excuse that they used because I didn't see an excuse anywhere for Disney telling the cast members not to wear the pin. Did they just tell them no? Or
from what I saw, it was just people like cast members and word of mouth. I never saw a confirmation.
Yeah.
Correct. That was what the walkout Twitter said.
That's what the walkout Twitter said.
I mean, they sell like 4 different Mickey shaped pins with the pride flag, the trans flag, the bi flag. Like they don't say it anywhere on the packaging. It's that sort of dog whistle marketing to the gays.
Yeah.
But like they sell them I mean, I understand when the employees can't wear pins, but what if the employee is doing pin trading? Because sometimes you're allowed to do that, right, Sarah?
Yeah. So for the pin trading, it's pins that are given to you by your lead. So you can't. It's not pins that are yours. So they're given to you. And I mean, I've gotten pins like that before, and I've just traded them back. So like it's never really been an issue. But I mean, the only reason that I could see why Disney would say no to their cast members is that if it like quote unquote disrupted show and like it didn't match with their costume. But I don't see how that's a valid excuse considering that you can wear the American flag pin even if you're wearing the Pixar
I'm
pin
also
costume.
thinking that we're talking only about cast members who are on stage. What about the back end, office staff? There's thousands of people who just work in like the admin buildings. Were they told that they can't wear these pins?
From what I saw, no. At the same time, the only other thing I can think of is just because they didn't want any of the cast members to get questions regarding the walkouts because it was a weird day. Like I woke up and I just saw ESPN like randomly say like we
Yeah.
support LGBT, and I'm like, what do y'all do now?
They released stuff on
Yeah.
Instagram too. Like they had like a little infographic that was like, we support the LGBT. Like,
Hulu, ESPN, and FX
wow.
all released like statements.
Even National Geographic,
Damn.
like all of their entities.
Some people were thinking, "Oh, this is Disney trying to like
Save face.
try to yeah," and then others were saying that no, these social media workers that are part of like these, they have the ability to put this up, and they did.
I don't know about that.
And it was
Because they're speaking on behalf of the company. Like, there's only a certain amount of speaking out on behalf of the company that you're allowed to do.
yeah, the pin thing is a little weird because the problem with policy inside of business is it's like a snail's pace. And the idea that even like whoever the mid-level manager was going to be able to like, even if he wanted to or she wanted to like advocate for it, there probably wasn't enough time to get the like the T7812 form to the HR office.
Yeah.
To, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things
process.
where
Yeah.
I just don't find that to be malicious. I just find it to be
I just feel like it was a word of mouth thing. Like I don't think that necessarily happened. Like
I agree.
yeah, like I just feel like it would be like you said, it would be way too quick for all the managers in the parks and everybody to like get this communication to tell everyone like, no, you can't wear these. And it's not like it's not like all the cast members were buying these pins. Like, so when did this even happen? Like, it just,
I think it was just like one incident and it kind of blew up into like a generalization because
which happens.
At the end of the day, we don't really have solid proof that actually happened.
No, not from Disney.
No.
And when it comes, all I want to say about these walkouts is this is where we're at. Like, we're 2 years into Chapek's reign, and this is where we're at. Hundreds of employees are walking out of work.
Risking their
I would
jobs.
like to add that his contract ends February of next year. I'm just saying.
It does, shareholders. Please keep that in mind.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
All he's done is piss everyone off. Like
Yeah.
the conservatives are mad at him because he's too woke. And then the progressive wing is mad because he's two-faced, really, more so than anything. Like talking out of both sides of his mouth. And if you're like a weird, like hardcore centrist who thinks if I'm pissing everyone off, that means you're doing good, I guess you might like that. But that I don't think that works in the
This is not a podcast for centrists. Go away, centrists.
Yeah.
There's no room for centrists.
I feel bad for the cast members that are doing this just because like they're risking their jobs, their pay, to have to walk out. And, you know, more power to the ones like, I love that people are walking out, but like, be careful when you're doing this. Like, be very careful.
Legally protected.
You're really not.
I don't think. I mean, these have been done. I've heard nothing of anyone getting fired. I think Disney is.
They're staying a mile
finally
away
smart
from
enough to just say like, just let it happen. Like,
I feel like
take your lumps and move on.
But I feel like a lot of
But
people
you're
forget
correct.
that Disney, like the internal workings, like like for cast members,
Very
it's
political.
like very
Absolutely.
political. They'll figure
Absolutely.
something out. So like, it's like, oh, we won't fire you for this, but we will get a list of things to fire you for.
Also, you wanted a promotion?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Orange County Register article too about how there was an open letter put out by conservative Disney employees.
Oh,
What?
I missed that.
An open letter penned by them asking the company to remain neutral on issues that have politicized their corporate culture, damaged morale, and caused right-wing employees to feel their days working at the Mouse House are numbered.
It's
Good.
way
it would
too
be
late.
terrible.
Let them be
Taking-
numbered.
Taking a
Yeah.
page from the victimhood playbook.
Wild that for an elective trait, they are getting a taste of what people with immutable traits have dealt with.
They want to be oppressed so bad.
So bad.
They want to feel it so bad. Like, I don't get it. It's like, you
They
really
say-
want to be that?
They go on like the company we love seems to think we don't exist or don't belong here, according to the position. Disney shouldn't be a vehicle for one demographic's political activism.
Allow me to show you Hall of Presidents.
Yeah. I was gonna say everyone at Liberty. Not that this is true, but like, yeah, everyone at Liberty Square is sweating that day. They're just like,
It gets worse. Conservative Disney employees
God.
have, quote, become invisible, unquote, and, quote, increasingly uncomfortable, end quote, as the company actively
no.
promotes a progressive political agenda. The petition contends Disney fosters an environment of fear that any employee not holding a progressive viewpoint will be exposed and dismissed.
Oh no, you can't be homophobic anymore. That's so
Oh
sad.
my god.
Honestly, it's probably scary for them that they
Oh,
have to
100%.
acknowledge that their behavior that they've done for all these years is so problematic, and they're going to have to unlearn that behavior.
And some of their best friends are black. So
Yeah, so
Their sisters, friends,
I
cousins,
know.
boyfriend
Victoria
is
just
black.
fell
Victoria
over.
just fell over.
Yeah.
I saw
had a-
Drag Race once on a plane.
Right,
So
Yeah,
exactly,
like,
right.
hello. Yeah, no, they're it's just like it's so funny because they're using the exact language. If you like look up what people on the opposing, like on the left side, are saying,
Mhm.
like, we feel like this and we feel like this, and they literally just took all of that and were like, but the conservatives feel like this, and we're so like scared of our positions. And it's like, if you don't like it here, don't work here.
Your political beliefs that doesn't make you a protected class. It's not the same. Like,
it does not.
and having an opinion, we have the right to not like your opinion.
Yeah, it's that fallacy that free speech means you can say anything, and it's like, no, it means the government can't get involved in what
Right.
you're
Yeah.
saying. Free speech is not free from criticism from everyone else who has free speech. That's the
Right.
Yeah.
fucking point.
Or you can say whatever you want, but just know you go and cash these hands if you say the N-word. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
as well you should.
That's what you
But
said.
yeah, I don't know how Disney's going to handle this moving forward, because like there is like a big group of Disney adults that is very conservative, and they don't necessarily want Disney to be quote unquote political, even though it always has been. Whether on what side, I don't know, but like it's always been political. And I feel like tides are changing, like Janine said. Like, we're moving forward, and if you get left behind, you get left behind. You can stay with your bedazzled Starbucks cup and the live laugh love sign, and you could do that, just not at Disney, I guess, you know. So
You know, and here's the thing. I don't want to let Comcast off the hook. Comcast gave the same money
Yep.
to these organizations,
Yeah.
to these senators or House representatives. They are as deep in the water. But this is the problem I think that is happening. Bob Chapek wants to run Comcast. He wants to run something that is like this sort of solidified brand, and its bubble is one thing, but it owns these other things like Universal, and it can
Yeah.
kind of do its own thing. Disney is not that. Disney is culture. It like, you can't not have an opinion. You are Disney. You are a intricate part of Americana. You're not some random tech company. And I think that they're just not willing to admit to themselves, as much as they want to be that thing because it makes them a ton of money, they also don't want the responsibility of being the cultural stalwart they are. And you are going to set a tone. You are Disney. And I don't know why they can't get people in leadership that understand that anymore. I mean, Iger got it. I think Iger fully understood
Yeah.
that there was not a separation between the two. Eisner got it. He understood that it took a while. Paramount, he finally figured it out once he got in, and he realized, oh, wait a minute, it's good for me to be in front of camera before these Wonderful World of Disney things. Like, I need to try to, like, I'm not great at it, but I'm going to do my best. That was part of it. And I don't think that Chapek understands that there isn't a separation of the two. You have to be both sides. You are an artistic and creative bastion in American life. So be it. You know, like Universal would die to have that.
they just need more diversity at the top. That's literally
Yeah,
what it is.
absolutely.
Like, because if there were people who are making these decisions that looked like, you know, all of us, then this wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, it's still a lot of old white people at the top.
They're gonna be there a while. Doesn't seem like they want to go away.
Nope.
So,
All right, so let's go ahead and get into something that is super delightful and is changing the world one tampon at a time, I guess.
I'll have you
Or
know,
pad.
they were pads.
yeah,
Because
so
I
they're
just got
pads.
into an extensive conversation with my 9-year-old about what they are, what they look like, where they go,
They
why.
have wings. They have wings.
Yeah.
Did you know they have wings?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and tell us about that, Sarah?
Yeah, so Turning Red has finally hit our screens on Disney Plus, and I just watched it for the first time today. Honestly, I don't know why I waited so long to watch it, because it is literally, I think it's one of the best Pixar movies. Like, I was very hesitant
agree.
about it, but I think it just played everything out so perfectly. Like for me, the main thing was the representation as a Muslim woman, like seeing multiple people with hijabs and
I noticed
headscarves
them in
walking
the
around.
yes.
Yeah, like
I loved it.
I think that might be the first time that we've seen them in Pixar, or correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but like that was just amazing. And the immigrant experience, I just loved it, how it played out in the movie. But I really want to hear your thoughts, and then
I was lucky enough to see it in a theater because it played at the El Capitan here in Hollywood.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
wanted to go
lucky
see it there.
you.
Yeah.
You didn't call us?
I'm sorry. And we when we sat down, we noticed this really large group sort of next to us. I would say maybe 15 or 20 people, and it was a couple of generations of a few Chinese families.
Mhm.
Oh.
And hearing them respond and laugh to very specific cultural jokes, first of
Yeah.
all, and hearing them talk after that movie, especially the little kids that were with them, like, that's why we do this, people. This is why we do this. And it was so great to hear. And it was mainly because I was sort of taking cues at some of the jokes from their laughter. I'm like, oh, that's a thing that I should know about. Because there's some deep cut cultural stuff that they're trying out in that movie, and it's very sophisticated. And then there's that idiot critic who rescinded his review that said it, he couldn't connect with it because it was a 13-year-old Asian girl, and it's made for a specific audience. And I'm like, could you identify with cars or fish?
There's this expectation that minorities should not relate to Cinderella because she's a white European woman. Like, why does that not come?
dumb.
There's so much to relate to in that movie, like, because I'm not
really
Asian,
is.
but like there's so much, like I said, like the immigrant experience is something that we can, like, a lot of people can relate to, and I feel like this movie like did a really good job of portraying that. So I'm not really sure what he was talking about, but
my favorite part of it, just like, I loved all the stuff about that was very specific to May and her mother, and her magical puberty was such a great idea. But the thing I think the movie really nailed, and is like the most universal of everything in it, is her friend group.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody at that age had a little group of nerds that were into like one or two things, and you only understood each other, and everybody thought you were weirdos, and you always had each other's back. Like that was, and it was so beautifully painted. And I love that it was, that's the other thing about the movie, like, what, two male characters, and they're really inconsequential. I mean, Dad's awesome in it, but like the fact that that entire friend group were all girls and spoke their own language and had their own support system for each other was so cool. That was my favorite part of the whole movie.
What I am fascinated with is this change up in creatives at both Disney Animation and Pixar, and allowing people to sort of make stories that sort of reflect their backgrounds or sort of their interests. And we found this with Encanto, and we found it with this. Like, generational trauma is a huge deal for people, and especially in the immigrant life. And I think is interesting is we have now two examples of both sort of the maternal, grandmother, mother, daughter relationship, the 3-generational sort of structure. That's fascinating. And we've not really seen that in film, and we got them back to back, basically.
You barely see moms in film historically.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like what Turning Red was going to be was what they were trying to do with Brave.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But obviously,
I can see that.
And like you said, Nathan, gender aside of the main characters and the matriarchal sort of angle, Encanto and this hit some really hard feels in me about relationships with mothers and generational trauma.
Yeah,
because I have a very challenging one, and so it's that universality is what movies are about. Like, how can you, even if it was not the world I came from, you're seeing the emotions you have that you remember through other people's eyes. What is different about that? Like, there's so much of that movie.
The goal.
That's the goal. And there's so much in that movie.
Everything.
Yeah, there's so much in that movie that I was like, that I could relate to, because it was a universality of growing up and being a nerd and having pressure on you from your parents, and like that doesn't, the dressing doesn't matter. That idea that that these movies are sort of villainless, right? That they're heroes' journeys and their emotional journeys, but they're internal as much as they are external, and the villains never turn out to be anything more than a confluence of outside forces that are misinterpreted or not accepted. And so I love it.
It's a really great point.
That was a big thing with Encanto too. Like everyone was like, "Abuela is the worst. She's a villain." No,
Yeah.
Abuela was
No.
also
Doing her
dealing with
best.
trauma too. She had to overcome so much. She's not the villain. She's also someone that needs healing too.
Yeah.
I mean, that Surface Pressure song in Encanto, everybody talks about, we don't talk about Bruno, but Surface Pressure is my favorite song in that.
Same.
Surface Pressure hit a little too hard for me.
Same.
Yeah.
That song literally made me instantly burst into tears, because it was like, oh God, oh Lord, I know exactly what this is.
Like my sister called me, because I essentially raised my sister, and she was like, "Damn, I had no idea." I was like, "Yeah, bitch, you don't."
Yeah, like I think it's really rough growing up like in the US, and like having to have the experience of like not really being sure like how to essentially navigate that. Like you want to stick with your culture, you want to stick with your family, but then like when you're growing up, you don't want to be weird, like you don't want to be you don't want to be singled out, like you want to have that typical teenage American experience. But then like your friends will tell you, hey, like come with us to here. I'm like, nah, I gotta go ask my mom. If like my mom tells me no, I can't go. Like it is what it is. I have a curfew at like 20 years old. Like there's just certain there's just certain experiences that like you grow up having, and it's so nice to see that they're finally becoming a part of these movies, because now you have the younger generation going in and being like, it's okay to feel all these things. It's okay to come from these backgrounds. You don't have to change. You can be from those backgrounds and still be accepted in society, because people now can finally understand what you were going through, and they can be accepting of that. So it's really nice to see this movie. I think it was such a great step forward towards representation, and I'm so glad that the Asian community finally has an Asian lead in a movie like this, because I remember seeing like Soul, and for me that movie, like I was in tears, I was bawling, like I couldn't even handle it because of the way like just like seeing people that looked like me on a screen.
Honestly, it was rude of them to put that on Christmas Day, for real. Like, really was. So rude.
It was. I was crying. I was like messed up, and I was just crying, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like how could they like the hair, the barber scene, oh my God. And it was just like all of that, like that got me, just seeing like the nuance. And I think that they did such a great job with this movie, like in the exact same way. I think they did it justice. And I'm so glad to see that we have an Asian female director too. Like they're killing it.
Yeah.
Like, they're so killing it. Like with
that reminded me. Can we talk about how this is also a love letter to that time period? Because
it's our time period.
When I heard Bootylicious, I was like, how much did they pay Beyonce?
There's one of the best comments I saw was a joke on parents talking about this is going to make me have a difficult conversation with my kids. The best joke version of that was somebody said, now I'm going to have a difficult conversation with my kids about how you can't buy concert tickets the night of the show at the concert.
Yeah. Ain't no way.
Because ain't no way.
Ain't no way.
Let's talk about how this should affect the Canada Pavilion at Epcot, because by Canada Far and Wide, we're going to need May to take me around.
Can I have
Toronto
a giant?
ASAP.
We need a giant, huggable giant.
That you can
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
it could
think
be
they're
like
working on it.
Are they doing a meet and greet?
I legitimately think they're working on it. There was some stuff that was
My
coming out.
son
If you
would
remember,
flip.
a couple of months ago, they released this version where they had a performer on stilted legs. It kind of looked like Wampa legs. And then they had a version with hands, and they were like extended, grippy, sort of. They could maneuver the arms a little bit, the fingers. Someone asked, I don't remember where this came about. I think it was to the director, actually, of Turning Red. And they said, well, is this going to have... Yeah, it was. And they were like, is this going to have something to do with the meet and greet in the parks? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe it would make a lot of sense. So I think we're going to see some really huggable meet and greet in the near
Coca-Cola Polar
future.
Bear, if you haven't seen that at the World
Yeah.
of Coke, is
Or
gorgeous.
Baymax.
It's beautiful.
And so and you just scale it up a little more and make it red, and I will
Yeah.
hug the crap out of that thing.
And we need the American Pavilion stage. We're gonna need a
Four
Four
Town
Town
Hall.
concert.
Oh, I just want to let everyone know that Disney Canada put out Spotify playlists for each person in May's friend group, including May. You're welcome.
Very
I
good.
love that.
That's great.
But so any last thoughts on Turning Red before we go into other theme parks besides Disney? Because unfortunately, I hate to tell y'all this, other theme parks do exist besides
Yeah.
Disney.
Well, I think we should go from the fury of red pandas to a different sort of fury.
To the fury of Poseidon.
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 So yeah,
Shout.
Poseidon Fury has been closed at Universal's Islands of Adventure, at part of the original Lost Continent land, half of which has become Harry Potter and Hogsmeade. But opened with the park back in 1999, and it had a long run. Had one redo in I think 2001 or 2, had a quick redo that I actually did a little writing on for a previous job, which was the whole Darkanon story plot and things, and then closed about 2 years ago, supposedly just for a refurb. I haven't seen any news from anybody posting about if there's anything different about it, but it is a sleeper hit of that park.
Yeah.
It never quite got the notoriety or popularity that I think Universal wanted it to have when it opened,
It's
which
so
is why
good.
they did
It's
the
fun.
redo, to be honest. There was just some
Yeah.
story things there was some really clever ideas on paper and to the designers of the show. I know a lot of people worked on it, but there's stuff story-wise that just didn't quite gel with exit polling the audiences, which is why they changed it to the current story. And Nathan, I think you said it best. There's a huge audience that loves the show because it's so bad it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it is what's the Darkanon name is like a beautiful, terrible thing. And you brought up, of course,
Yeah.
that the director who did the visuals for this also directed Masters of the Universe, the film, which, it makes total sense the more I think about it. I mean, top 5 exteriors for a ride, period.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I wish that the front fountain thing had opened though, because that whole ruins down there were supposed to be a water play area. But
Was
Oh,
it?
wow.
yeah, Janine, when you go, no, look, because you've got the mom eye.
Yeah.
You'll look at it and go, oh my God, there's so many pointy spikes and things that my kid could fall on. They realized very late that whoever did the design was like, wait, we didn't really consult, and okay, we'll just make it a water feature that you look at. But it was originally supposed to be something you could go down into and splash around in. Yeah.
That would have been
Aw.
lovely.
Yeah.
But I love that giant statue falling apart is just so iconic. It's so good.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, it's been lighting updates and things of that nature. It's what
I think they just
bulbs
redid
have
the
been,
projections and things like that.
yeah, and it looks
think
great.
Why did that take 2 years, though, is what I want to know.
COVID and stuff.
I think it was COVID mainly.
Yeah.
It probably had not gone down for a refurb in a long time, and stuff that's around water tends to corrode. And
that makes sense.
So they probably did a
true.
massive overhaul of maybe the water systems and the nozzles and things.
Yeah, and it's a people eater, so they really don't want to take those down unless they really have
Oh,
to.
Dave, now that I have you, you can answer this question for me. How the freak do they do the tunnel thing?
Oh, the tunnel thing's so cool.
The tunnel is that's in my probably top 2 or 3 effects in a theme park of all time. I believe that was built by Technifex, which is a company out here in California who did a lot of special effects for theme parks. I think actually, if you look on their website, you can see the mock-ups of it.
Ooh.
It is basically, how the water parks have those giant funnel rides that you go through in your little floaty. You know how sometimes those have, or even better yet, a better analogy is, the standing waves that you can bodyboard in that are like, there'll be a bar built around it.
Surfboard training.
Yeah, surfboard training.
Oh,
kind
like
of
the
thing.
surfboard thing.
Yes, it's that kind of water jet, basically shooting into what's around you is basically a big water slide trough, really. And they figured out the right size and the amount of water pressure for it to basically stay in place. It's literally just water pressure. The pump system for that is crazy, and it's like outside the building and like I think 50 or 60 feet away because it's so loud that you would hear it if it was close to the building. And like it's I think that effect is an honest to God gasp from the audience.
every time.
Because
That is what I
every
remember
time.
from it.
Like,
every
bruh,
time.
it's chef's kiss. Like,
Yeah.
I remember, and I remember doing it, and I was just confused, and I was like, wait, this is a show?
Yeah, if you don't know what you're getting into, it's a strange experience. I love it, but
No,
we were talking
yeah.
about Dave. You were talking about earlier before we started recording about how it was kind of supposed to be the T2 3D for it's sort of, and it is. It's kind of stunt, kind of
internally. It was pitched as this is going to be IOA's T2 3D in terms of sort of cutting edge special effects and media, but we're adding water, and it's going to be a showstopper and hugely popular. And it kind of wasn't. I loved it, in even the original one. And I remember taking friends before the park opened at like employee previews, and they're like, "We've never seen anything like this." To your point, Nathan, if you don't have any idea what's in that show box, you have no idea what you're.
Which is awesome. It's I
great.
love taking people in there and going, "Don't ask me what this is. Just experience it.
Just go with it." Yeah.
I think that why everyone thought this wasn't coming back is it looks like a freaking Zelda temple already. It's as close as you can get to having a prefab Zelda temple if you were going to create a Zelda ride.
That's true.
Which they keep talking about. That's going to be an aspect of the future. Yeah. So I think everyone just made the obvious sort of thought, but I'm glad it's back. I mean, even if it doesn't last forever. It's incredible that it's still around. I mean, Islands generally keeps things much longer than studios in general, but and I think that deals with the fact that it's harder to retheme a bunch of water rides. But it's nice to have like this straight up non-IP extravaganza in the middle of. Now that Sinbad's gone, there's very few non-IP related stuff at Islands,
and it's very much. I mean, and what I love is that whole non-IP aspect of the original park. That yes, there are IPs like Marvel and Dr. Seuss and Jurassic Park, but Lost Continent was this weird little anomaly where it was just because that everybody knows that the park was supposed to be literary themed, right? Like everything was a book or a comic book, right? And I remember they used to have a plaque at the front of the park, or they had planned one. Maybe my friend Zane Yench, who was a fan of that place, is now a theme park designer as well, tells me this wide-eyed story about, oh my God, the original story behind this park, the backstory. And it's not really evident there anymore. And to me, that's like the signature attraction to that theme, right? It's totally. Classic Greek mythology. Dark and
that's very true.
Notwithstanding, but,
Oh, Nathan, I'm glad you mentioned things that are returning because HHN tickets dropped today.
That's true.
So, Halloween Horror Nights 31. Tickets are now available, as well as tickets for the unmasking tour and the RIP tour. There's no frequent fear. There's no multi-day. I know everybody's going to ask them for like the next 800 years. When's that coming? But people are mad at the tagline. I'm not sure why, but the tagline is don't go alone. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't. That's both kind of creepy and also a great sales pitch. Like, don't come alone. We like 2 people. More,
we like more
tickets.
Money. Yeah.
Don't come alone.
Give us more.
Yeah.
Did you guys see did you see the, I guess, rumor announcements? I don't know if it's true or not, that The Weeknd is going to have a house.
Oh,
yeah, I heard about that.
That's for real? I thought that was a joke.
But I thought it was for Hollywood.
I thought it was for Hollywood too.
I mean, remember they were going to have a Billie Eilish house.
Yeah.
And they've done like Alice Cooper rock and roll has been.
I mean, Alice Cooper means a little more sense.
Means a little more, sure, but the argument I always make is Billie Eilish's first 2 music videos were horrific and very weird and scary. Yeah. Her aesthetic was that, and The Weeknd as well. Like, there's some
his old man.
Their most recent albums, yeah.
Do we have any other rumors for houses this year yet? That are
I heard Fear Street.
Okay.
Oh, right, the Netflix show, right? Yeah.
Yeah, besides rumors, that's really all we got for right now, but I'm sure we will be seeing some weird staticky videos in the next few weeks or so.
Are we ready for mailbag?
Mailbag.
Ding dong.
Here's the mail.
It never fails.
Here's some mail for the rats. This is actually, I'm going to read this one because it's from a friend of mine. Oh my God. My friend Joe, who goes by Joser, on Twitter, Goezer. Hi, Joe. I'm glad you listened. That's awesome. He says, hiya, Rat Castlers. Are Sears Rat Schmattera? Just what collective group nickname should we, the listeners, fans, use to refer to the panelists? Yep, I'm asking what the show's pronouns are. Our pronouns are he, him, they, them, she, her, rat. So he continues, enjoying the podcast, caught up enough where I have Bob and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, don't say gay is the only one left to peruse. Ooh. Before you call me out, yes, I am subscribed to the feed. The casual, quote, friends dishing and spilling tea, end quote, approach is refreshing. Glad to have y'all in my podcast rotation. Looking forward to how this ride progresses and grows. Thank you, Joe. That's very sweet.
Yeah,
I
thank
love
you, Joe.
that. It is so nice to hear from people listening
Yes.
to it.
And that is exactly the vibe we're going for.
Yes.
Dishing and spilling tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's do this. I think we should you can call us the rats.
And the I like the listeners as the rat bastards.
I do too. I think the listeners are rat bastards, and I think we are the rats. So you can just call us the rats.
Oh, because they're like our bastard children?
Sure.
Yes, sure.
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 I gotta hand it to Joser though on the rat schmattera. I do really like that one.
Yeah, that's good.
That was a good one.
That was very clever.
That's
I commend. I tip my
Yeah.
hat to you.
Yeah.
I guess this is as good a time as any. If you have questions for us, you can get us at bit.ly/ratcastle as well. And you can also, you know what, we'll do this too. If you leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes, we will read your 5-star rating. I'm just stealing that from Linoleum Knife. Thank you, Alonso and Dave. So throw us some of those and we will read those as well because we love a good review. And yeah, that would be great. We'd love to hear from you guys.
It's
Thanks,
very
Joser.
nice to know we're not just yelling into the void.
In the ether. It is true.
Someone out there.
It is
Talk
true.
to us. We talk back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's either a podcast or it's theme park therapy. Either way, it works for me.
Hey, either way, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess I'll go ahead and draw us to a close. So Rat Castle is produced by Nathan Hartman, the incomparable.
It's true.
Please, and you should please please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode, and tell all your other rat bastard friends.
Yeah.
You can check out our website at ratcastlepodcast.podbean.com. As Nathan said, send us your questions so that way we don't sound like we're talking to ourselves. You can do that at bit.ly/ratcastle. Now grab your belongings, exit to the left, and any complaints can be made at guest services.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?